So Firefly and Boothil are our two newest characters that work around the break meta, and they pretty much do the same thing in a slightly different manner by afflicting targets with weakness of their respective element and scaling off of break effect rather than crit rate and crit damage. But the question is, who should you roll for? Well, break meta is temporary, but Whip Mommy Jade is eternal, so skip everything and save for her.
Clap if you think she should suffer.
Jokes aside, both Firefly and Boothil are getting released during the same patch, so we F2P people gotta decide who to go for. So let's have a deeper look at their kits. Boothil, your typical cowboy, except his whole body is made of metal and only his face is human. Also, this website is super helpful. You can find the link in the description. It literally has everything like characters, abilities, stats, light cones, relics. So, Boothil! You all know how the path of the hunt is all about locking on a single target and obliterating them. Well, that's what Boothil does best. His stats are actually normal, like he doesn't excel at anything. But he's not bad at anything either, like he has 107 speed. Speed is gonna be very important for him, so we'll talk about it later. And let's talk about his abilities. So his skill is his bread and butter, as he initiates a duel with an enemy, locking onto and taunting the target, enhancing his basic attack and making both units take increased damage from each other. 37.5 increased damage dealt to the target and 15% for Boothil. But that's not real, cause come on, nobody's gonna get the skill to level 15 with Eidolon, so let's stick to level 10, I guess. So that's 30% increased damage dealt to the target and 15% bonus damage dealt to Boothil. So let's check the traces. So his ability is actually kinda broken, but the only bad thing about it is that he doesn't do any AoE, just like other hunt units. So you're gonna be using him to lock on a single target and that's it. So his first trace, A4, it just makes him take less damage from other targets that are not in the standoff. And his other trace, which is pretty good since the skill doesn't actually regenerate energy for him when you use it. So to make up for that, his trace makes him regenerate 10 energy every time he gets pocket trick shot. So we'll talk about the pocket trick shot later, since his ability also makes him get pocket trick shot after breaking or killing an enemy. So pocket trick shot is his talent. Then we have the ultimate. So his ultimate is actually pretty good too, just like Firefly's ultimate. He applies weakness, but he also delays the target's action. So he applies physical weakness, and like his kit, it synergizes so well with his other abilities. Like he applies weakness, and then he can break the enemy super easily after applying weakness, so it's super broken. So at level 10, it's 400% of the Boothil's attack, which is pretty good, and 40% delay. Then we have the talent. Now that's what I'm talking about. So pocket trick shot actually further enhances the enhanced basic attack, increasing its toughness reduction. It also deals bonus break damage to already broken enemies based on the amount of stacks, going up to a maximum of 3 stacks. And this is actually crazy since Boothil is physical, allowing him to inflict bleed on enemies when breaking them, which is the strongest DOT in the game. And even if the target doesn't have physical weakness, he can just implement it with his ult. That's why I told you his kit is so broken. So he gets, hold on, let's get level 10. So depending on stacks, he either deals 70% or 120% or 170% damage based on the number of trick shot stacks. So he deals break damage, which is why you're gonna be like stacking up break effect on him, like get as much break effect on him, since crit doesn't work with him. Since breaking the target, it doesn't scale based on your crit. So break attacks, they can never crit. Then we have his trace. Now, to be honest, this trace, it feels out of place. Because his whole kit, you don't need to build crit on it, like it doesn't work. But then this trace, it gives him crit rate and crit damage based on break effect. So it's there, it's nice, but let's be real, it's not really that useful. It's nice, but not really useful. It would have been something else, like something that gives him bonus to break or something. But it actually gives him crit and crit damage based on break effect. So the maximum is when you reach how much? Hold on, let me do some math. I'm not good at math. The maximum is when you reach 300 break effect. And by the way, we won't be talking about Eidolons, because whales are not welcome in this channel. If you're a whale, please leave right now. I hate whales. Like, how the fuck do we want to get Eidolons when we got Boothil, Firefly, May, and Jade coming up back to back? Like, there's no way you get Eidolons. Then we have his upgraded basic attack, so it just makes him deal more damage with his basic attack, and that's it, kinda like Jingliu, except it's single target. And his technique, I mean, It's just your basic technique, to be honest. He just inflicts bonus damage at the start of the battle and inflicts physical weakness to enemies if they don't have it, so that's it. And his minor traces are actually super good. So he gets an attack increase 4% and he gets break increase. Also, I think there's HP increase. Yeah, he gets attack, HP and break, which is pretty good. The break effect helps him to reach like as much break as you need. Then, okay, Eidolons, never mind the Eidolons. Let's talk about his build. So we're gonna be talking about his light cone, which is pretty good. You know how I told you like earlier that speed is one of his most important stats? Well, that's because his light cone increases his speed. So you'll be needing as much speed as you want on him because his light cone increases it. So the more speed you already have, the more the light cone increases it. And he also gets 60% increased break effect, just like Firefly's light cone. And he gets 20% in your for break damage, so 20% defense in your, and it's very good. Yeah, I really like it. But if you want some F2P options, then I don't think we have any actually. This is his best planner set, so Talia, you can pre-farm it already. So it's all about increasing your break effect. It increases it by 16%, but when the speed reaches 145, which is super easy to do with Boothil, you get a 20% extra increase. So let's do the math together, shall we? So 107, 25 from Boots, so plus 25, that's 132 already. And then if you get his signature light cone, it increases by 12%, so plus 12%, that's already 147.
2 plus 2 equals C.
Just by getting his light cone and getting full level speed boots, you already got the increased break effect from Talia. So you can either use this one, which increases break effect by 16 and further increase it by 16 at level 4. I mean at 4 piece. And it also regenerates energy for him, which is pretty good. But you can also use the new one. So it increases break effect by 16%. And if the wearer's break effect is over 150%, it ignores 10% of the enemy's target's defense when dealing break damage. And when the wearer's break effect is 250% or higher, the super break damage they deal to enemy targets additionally ignores 15% of the target's defense. So this has some synergy with Boothil, but not a lot, since the secondary effect, you can't really use it on Boothil, like the super break damage buff, since Boothil doesn't have any super break damage on him. But if you use Imaginary MC with Boothil, this can be pretty useful. So if you don't use him, then I recommend using this one. Now on to the cinnamon roll that can also become your daddy. She actually has the highest speed stat amongst destruction units, so 104. It's kinda low compared to other characters, but compared to destruction units, she's so fast, which works in her favor since just like Boothil, she just needs crit stats. So all you gotta do is stack break effect and speed stats. Let's talk about her skill, which is kinda huge, as it destroys 60% energy by consuming 40% of her HP. Girl literally following the path of destruction and destroying herself. She deals damage and she also gets an advance forward, so you're gonna see her take a lot of turns compared to your other characters. Her ult is her bread and butter. Look at this, look at all this text. So I'm gonna make it simple for you. It just makes her call her Gundam armor and she gets a ton of buffs. So as you can see here, she gets a 100% advance forward, she gets increased speed like 75, hold on, let's get it to level 10, so 60 increased speed, and when using the enhanced basic attack or basic skill, increased times weakness break efficiency by 50% and increases break damage. So she's got a lot going on with her ult, she gets a ton of buffs, which is super useful, and she even gets traces. So while she's in her ult state, even if the target is not quick to fire, she still can break them. And the second trace is super awesome too, so under complete combustion, when Sam's break effect is equal to or greater than 200% or 360%, attacking a weakness broken enemy target will convert the toughness reduction of this attack into one instant of super break damage. So you know how I told you she has integrated super break damage in her kit? Well, that's what I'm talking about. Right now, the only characters that can do super break damage is Firefly by herself or Imaginary MC that can give it as a buff to other allies. So Firefly is super good right now. Like, I thought she was bad before her update, but now she's super good as she's straightforward. You just need break and speed, and that's it. She's gonna be broken. Now, her talent is pretty normal, like it just gives her less damage received and lower her HP and it gives her effect res, so I don't have anything to say about that, but she gets a trace with it. So this trace is super good. This is the most broken trace I ever saw in my life. It used to have limited scaling before the update, but right now it has unlimited scaling, which means for every 100 attack that exceeds 1600, she gets 10% increased break effect. Alright, so while I was editing this video, they just just updated Firefly again. Mainly, it's her trace that got affected, so right now it gives her 0.8 increased break effect for every 10 attack exceeding 1800, which is, I mean, a small nerf to be honest. And they also tweaked her skill a bit, but nothing huge, like she's still broken. Then we have her upgraded attack, so it's just your regular attack, but she restores 20% HP to make up for the HP she lost from using her skill, which is pretty good. Wait, we forgot her technique. So her technique is just like Boothil's technique, where she starts the battle, she applies a fire weakness to all targets and deals damage. So yeah, I think right now the meta is all about breaking enemies and implementing weakness on them, which is pretty nice. Then we have the upgraded skill, which is a blast attack. So unlike Boothil that locks on a single target, her upgraded skill, which you'll be using most of the time, actually hits AoE. So it's very good. She's all about destroying everything. So she restores HP by 35% of her max HP, applies fire weakness to the single enemy, and she deals damage like this. So this is the formula. So it stacks on break effect, which is pretty good. So you still got a scale on break effect with her, since it's even included in the attacks multiplier. And she deals less damage to the adjacent enemies, but it's still not bad. So a maximum of 360% break effect is calculated, but that doesn't matter. You can go over 360% with your stats, because it's always gonna be useful. Like, you also got her light cone, so it increases her break effect just like Boothil by 60%, and when the wearer deals break damage to an enemy target, inflicts routed on the enemy, lasting for 2 turns. So routed is just a debuff where the enemy will receive 24% increased break damage, and their speed will be lowered by 20%. So Firefly not only increases her speed, but she also reduces the enemy's speed. So she'll be the only one acting in the whole battle, especially if you run her with Weld or someone that can affect the target speed. But unfortunately you won't be doing that, since her best team, just like Boothil, it's Ron, May, and Imaginary MC, and the 4th slot will be a sustain unit. So this is her signature relic that will be coming out along with her release. So it increases the speed by 6%, so again, she increases her speed. The homegirl really loves increasing her speed. And then the wearer hits enemy targets with fire weakness, the wearer's break effect increased by 40%. So right now I think Firefly is the only character that can use this. Maybe also Gallagher? I don't know. But like, yeah, this is dedicated to Firefly, so you need to farm it when it comes out if you want to use Firefly. And let's talk about the budget light cone. Actually, I think she has some 4-star options, but obviously you want to get the signature one because it's the best for her. So yeah, it's pretty good, not gonna lie, for a budget option. If you'll need a DPS, then consider rolling for Boothil if you're lacking single target damage, and Firefly if you need a general DPS. But don't do the mistake of rolling for both of them, since we only have 2 break supports to work with right now. And actually, if you don't already have Rowan May, then forget about Firefly and Boothil and go get her, as she's having a rerun alongside Firefly and will remain relevant for a long time, unlike DPS units that tend to get power crept quickly.